Am I on now? Okay. Gosh, let's just run through that really quick. Spring in the Pacific Northwest. My name is Darlene with Featherweight Doctor, and I am talking about the masks I've been posting about on Facebook and Instagram. So I am going to, hold on, you sent a request to be in your live video. Yes. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. Okay. Anywho, so a Friday this week, 4:00 Pacific Standard Time, I'm going to do an hour-long sew-in. I'm going to have my little Ruby out, and her and I are going to be whipping through these masks. My goal is to have 100 of them done in the next couple days, and so I'm going to be working on those on Friday. So if you want to join me, we can chit-chat. I can answer questions about featherweights. We can make masks for our friends and family. We can have fun. So Friday, it's going to be on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Sew in with your featherweight, and we're going to make masks. These are very cute masks. Anybody who knows me knows that I hate to do anything on like an assembly line basis, like making 10 of something or 2 of something just drives me crazy. So the fact that I'm like making 100 of these things, that's very unusual for me. So we're going to talk about that on Friday. All right, let's get to taking care of your featherweight. I've been cheating on my featherweights with my 301. 301s are also nice machines, but we don't want to cheat on our 221s. Shouldn't do that. I have a 301 too. They are fast and they're super industrial. So are the featherweights, but the 301 is, I think I have to hit that. Uh-oh. No. Okay, so it might be beautiful here, but it's still super cold. So I've got my tea here. All right, so let's talk about a couple of items first. This is my shameless plug time before I give you a bunch of really good information. So in order to properly lubricate your your featherweight, you need 2 different items. You need your grease, your featherweight grease. And you also need your oil. Now let's talk about these 2 things. Oil, sewing machine oil is sewing machine oil is sewing machine oil. There's nothing special about it. It also doesn't have a real shelf life to it. So if your only option is the cute little antique oil can that came with your Singer featherweight and there still is oil in it, technically you could use it. I might use something a little bit more new myself, but we sell oil for $6.95 on the website. We sell our grease, $7.95. And this we have to talk about because this is pretty special. So this is grease is special and it does have a shelf life. So if you got grease with your little featherweight, either in a green or a white tube, that is too old. You do not want to use the old grease that came with your machine. You definitely want to order new grease, and there's only a few places across the country that make this. So this is ours. It's specially formulated to the right viscosity or melting point of your vintage Singer motor. So it's not too runny. It won't burn your motor up, and it also will just melt at the exact right, peak temperature for your featherweight. So in the tubes, we're going to talk about both the oil and the grease. I always tell people in my class to grab their screwdrivers to open these up, and I'm trying to do it with my fingernail. Okay. So your grease should look like this, and it comes with 2 little straws. I'll tell you what those are for in a minute. So we're going to use that in a second. The other thing I want to highlight that is a good resource for you, the oil and lubrication points are something that is kind of in one ear, out the next, because you don't do it often enough to remember it. So there is a book whenever we sell maintenance kits, or if you join me in a workshop, we sell the service manual, which has full diagrams in the book. This is $10, $9.95. And because we were trained and mentored by David McCullum, who is now retired, his book, The Featherweight and I, is a book that we carry on our website for $39.95. It is what I would consider the Bible of the featherweight. It not only talks about how to care for the featherweight. I mean, it takes you all the way through if you want to strip it down and paint it, like that's in here. But mostly what I like about Mr. McCullum's manual is that he is an illustrator, and he drew all these big, huge pictures of the different oil points in the book. And so if you have a manual that came with your machine, it's probably about this big. They're tiny. His book is huge and the pictures are huge. And so therefore, things don't get missed. So anyway, those are some resources that are available on our website, the oil, the grease, the 2 different books. Okay. So let's talk about this. I do my oiling down in stages. So there's the top portion, oil points. There is behind the face plate oil points. And then there is the bottom part of the machine, oil points. So let's start with, let's go to the bottom first. So I don't want this to slap down on my thing. So I'm going to do that. Okay. The first thing when you take the bottom off of your machine, I want you to kind of look at how the if you will. First thing I'd like you to notice is that there are 3 shafts, a silver one in the middle and then 2 black ones. So what I'd like you to do with your machine sitting in front of you is I want you to roll the hand wheel around and see where there's metal contacting metal. Wherever there's metal contacting metal, that needs a drop of oil. And when I mean a drop of oil, I mean 1 drop of oil. More isn't necessarily better in this scenario. It just needs a drop of oil. So if you, I don't know if you can see this okay. So like for instance, these 2 shafts, the ends of these shafts need a drop of oil. You can actually see that there's an oil hole on top of these silver shafts here. There's a half shaft up, where am I? I'm turned around. In the top here, drop of oil on each side. The big thing to call attention to underneath here is that there are several places on here where oil holes need to be addressed about every 8 hours of straight sewing. So with that, every 8-hour oil holes in the bottom are the tops of these 2 shafts. You can actually see a hole for the oil. So that's where underneath you want to make a dress every 8 hours. I'm going to take the cover off and leave it off here. Okay. The next area that we'll talk about, move my face plate, my face mask here. Hold on. Sip of tea. A little cold out here. Okay, so you're going to take your faceplate off. Oh, Kaylee's on. Hi, Kaylee. I hope you're loving your 222 still. Okay, so there's lots of guts in here. Do you guys see that? The oil hole, again, oil hole points is wherever metal is contacting metal, and there's movement is where there's an oil drop. So let me see if I can't do that like that. Okay. So you see this big arm here that has a really big movement to it whenever you start rolling. See it right there? It has it's the take up lever is moving up and down there. Though all 4 oil points on that arm is an every 8-hour sewing. So if you're somewhere on a quilting retreat, oh, Nellie, you named her Nellie. That's awesome. Nellie is Kaylee Johnson's 222. Ladies, if you don't have a name for your featherweights, we need to name them. If you don't have a person in your life that is kind of influential in your featherweight journey or your sewing journey, then go and Google that year of your featherweight and pick a name off the list. Because all these girls need names. My favorite is when they come, hello, Crazy Quilter. when they come with a name. So like you have the original owner's like receipt or whatever, and you can actually carry that on. So that's pretty fun. Anyway, so that big swooping arm, I'm going to move it again. You guys can see it on Instagram. There's 4 points in there, and they all need a drop of oil about every 8 hours. And then don't neglect the presser foot up and down. So that's another one. Okay. The next area that we're going to talk about, I have another screwdriver here. I'm loosening the screw on my spool pin cover. You don't need to take it off. You just need to swing it out of the way. The oil holes, right, maybe we'll do that. Let's see here on the top are here, here, here. Inside here, there's an actual hole you can see, and then there's a shiny shaft. It's 1 drop of oil on the shiny shaft, 1 drop of oil in the hole here, and then 1 on your bobbin winder has an oil hole also. So that's the top portion. When you're done here, you're going to roll. Oh, see, this is backwards. You're going to roll the machine forward, and there's 2 across the back of the neck. Those are oil holes. They each get a drop of oil. Okay, and then the last one, the top, that was every 8 hours. In the bobbin area, roll the bobbin around until you can see the teeth exposed. Ooh, Minnie's dirty. And then put a drop of oil on there. So that's every 8 hours. All right, so we've talked about the top, the freight, behind the faceplate, in the bottom, and then 1 on the bobbin. The bobbin assembly. All right, so those are all your oil points. Now grease. Let me just put this back together here real quick. And then put the faceplate back on. Okay, so let's talk about the grease. The grease is used in the motor. Ladies and gentlemen, please pay attention to me. Never, ever, ever do you put oil in the motor ports. Only grease. That's very important. And I'm going to flip around real quick and tip this back down here. So you see the motor. There is an oil port on the top and 1 on the front of it. And you use the little straws that come in your grease tube to fish out the old grease. And then you're going to top off with the new grease all the way to the top of the port until it starts kind of working itself back out. So that's how you change the oil out on your, or the grease out, I'm sorry, on your motor. And I recommend doing this once a year if you use her occasionally, or if you use her quite often, every 6 months is good too. So to change your grease out of your motor, grease for is you're going to, if you have a cleaning brush that looks like this, as you can see, this one is well used and loved. It's a chimney sweep on one end and a broom on the other. I use this to scrub out all the old stinky black grease from my upper gears and my lower gears in the bottom. And then I put new grease back on them when I'm done. So that is kind of the oil and lubrication points. Do you guys have any questions at all on the different ports? By any chance? Feel free to ask. I'm getting lots of thumbs up. Thanks. I was on the phone last night with Babe Fearless, pretty late last night. She has a 99. I think your 99 is going to be a little different for your oil holes, but you should be able to still use the same oil and grease that we talked about for taking care of her. We're trying to get her sewing. She's really shiny and pretty, but she's not quite sewing yet. So All right. Well, I think that's all I have for today. Again, on Friday, my next live is going to be at 4 p.m., 4 to 5. I'm going to do, oh, good. I'm going to do a sew-in. I'm just going to be sewing on masks down in my studio. There won't be a beautiful evergreen backdrop. It'll be in my basement studio. Oh, someone wants to know if we're painting machines. We are not painting machines right now. My husband, Andy, had, oh, Helen, thank you. I got to talk about the white. This is for the black machines. Let me talk about the white ones here in a minute. But the painted machines, my husband is working full time now. And so we're kind of have put our painting on hold. I have a custom order for a, oh, sorry. She has a little cat cry face. I have a custom order right now for a purple one, but we're not really taking any more painting projects on at this point. Andy's just working too much. So, my machine is not picking up thread. I think that's thread. Can you help? Alana, I might be able to help. Let me get to Helen's machine question about the whites. Helen, thank you for reminding me. I totally forgot. Okay, hold on. Let me put Minnie on the floor and let's talk about the white machine, the difference between the black machines and the white machines. Okay, here's my little white machine. This is Opal. She's my own personal little white machine. She's a 1964, I believe. Let me just tip this down. So the thing with these little white machines is that they are different with the blacks in that they don't have the same gear driven system. Oh, thank you. I love her too. She's very fun. They have a belt driven assembly. So they not only have an external belt back here on the motor pulley, but they also have a belt running through the center here. And so because of that, they actually don't need as much maintenance as the black ones, because you don't have to strip the grease off of the white gears or the gears on the white machine on the upper and the lower, because they don't have them. So you're basically just doing all of the same oil points, but not as much of the grease work when it comes to the gears. You still need to maintain, Helen, since you asked the question, you still need to maintain the grease in the motor. So let me flip that around here. So the white machines still have, sorry guys. The white machines still have the ports on the top and on the front here, right there. So you still need to change the grease out in that, but not the, you don't have to change the grease out from the gears. So it still has, the top holes are the same. The faceplate is the same. There's no, Helen, there's no grease ports on the back of the neck like on the black one. Oh, I'm frozen. Let me see. Helen, can you still hear me? Oh, okay, good. You can still hear me. Hold on. I'm gonna start this up here in a quick sec. Facebook and oh no, I know I'm good on Instagram, but Facebook and YouTube has finished. Hang on, I'm coming right back. Don't go anywhere. Okay. I think I'm back up now on Facebook. Thanks guys for your patience. I super appreciate it. All right. So no oil points, Helen, on the back, and the bottom is also the same. So you have a few less oil ports and not as much grease work to do. So that's the little white machine. All right. And now Alana says my machine is not picking the thread up. Can you help? There's a couple reasons why it may not be picking the thread up. Alana, the first one is that your needle might be in backwards. So you have to make sure that your needle, let me grab my little red machine. Hold on one second. Okay. So here's the front of Minnie. So the reason why your thread may not be able to be picked up is because the needle is in backwards. It's important when all the modern machines that are on the market today, they take the needles any which way, but only one way is right. The Featherweights, the modern machines only take the needle in the right way. These machines take in the machines any which way, but only one way is right. So your flat part of your needle needs to be pointed to the outside of your machine, lining up with the flat part of the throat plate. and then you thread the machine from right to left. So that might be one reason that the thread isn't picking up. The other one is, and this is a really common mistake, if you've removed your throat plate recently, you need to make sure that your notch is seated in the bottom of the groove of the throat plate in the northern position, because if this is free swinging around, the machine won't stitch. It'll sew, but it won't stitch. So check that, check the needle. And then the other thing is with the bobbin, your bobbin might be in the wrong way. You want to put your bobbin in so that it makes the letter P. So it comes up over to the left of the needle and then feeds into the assembly and through the throat plate. So those might be the 3 reasons why, Alana, that your machine is not picking up the thread. But you're welcome to call the shop or email me at info@featherweightdoctor.com, and I can help you a little bit more, like I did with Babe Fearless last night. All right. Is there any other questions? I think that's it. Okay. Well, I will let you guys go then. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Make sure you follow us, like us, or subscribe to us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. I look forward to seeing you guys on Friday for our little sew-in.